Okay, so when I'm working with golfers, I am always trying to keep an eye on swing development, but also performance. And it's very easy when you start making swing changes and learning new information that you can get a little bit lost. So I am always trying to help golfers educate themselves, understand some of the intricacies that are involved in the golf swing, but also spend enough time where you're just keeping it simple, a little bit more fun, and understanding sequence, which is what this video is going to be about. So hopefully you guys will appreciate this video. It'll be the video that you'll save and come back to time after time when you sort of feel like you've just got a little bit lost in the swing and you want to take it back to basics. So there is going to be 3 points. We're going to have the takeaway, or the early part of the backswing, we're going to have the top of the backswing, and then we're going to have the hit. And what we're going to do in those 3 points is keep it nice and simple. I'll talk about the common problems that I see as well, so you guys can relate to it, whether it's you. And hopefully, like I say, this will just put it back to simplicity. So what we're looking to do in the first part of the backswing is we are looking to have a reference for the takeaway. And that basically means the takeaway is often taught to be when the club's parallel to the floor, like so. And that's fine. I always find that's a bit of a stretch for golfers. And one of the problems I always tend to see is when golfers are rehearsing this takeaway, because it's a bit of a stretch, you'll tend to find that golfers will move. Okay, so see the way that you'll end up looking in the mirror down the range, and this is a problem. Because if you watch me now, if I let my head move, okay, so I'll keep my head down, but see my head moves, what this is going to do is this is triggering too much rotation of the body too soon. Okay, so we want to make sure, first and foremost, one, have a reference for about 4 feet back. Okay, that'll be enough, because you can keep your eye looking down on the ball when you're doing this. And make sure that when you're telling yourself in that stage number 1, it's just hands and arms. Hands and arms to the side of your body like so. Keep that head still. And what that will do is, from this perspective, if I drew a line through the heel of the club and up through my elbow line here, you'll see the way the club will just travel straight back through that plane line. But if I start rehearsing this, see the way that if I turn too much, the club will have a tendency to come underneath, and then golfers will go, oh, right, I'm not supposed to do it, I'm supposed to keep the club in front of the hands, and then your arms get bent, and it's all a messy move, okay? So simplicity on stage number 1 is keep the head still, move the arms to the side of the body, but make sure that you're not turning. Make sure that you feel like it is solely hands and arms move in that early part of the backswing, and that will put you in good stead to work on position number 2. Now, position number 2 is all about making sure that we demonstrate a nice centralized full 90-degree shoulder turn. I always think if you can do that whilst keeping that feeling of width with your hands and arms, that's a really good reference for a good position. So what that means, that looks like so. So I take it back, position 1, and then position 2. So you can see my shoulders have turned to 90 degrees, but can you see the way I'm rotating with inside my width of stance? So I'm avoiding doing any sort of sliding motion like so, because I don't turn enough to 90, and I'm like this. Now, if I get that sequence correct, what should also happen is I should be able to keep my arms here, and then as I turn, I can keep my arms to see the way I can maintain width. Most golfers, again, common problems, if you get this part wrong and you move too quickly here in your turn, then what you'll do is you'll sort of feel like, oh, I can't push my arms out, so you have to lift your arms up, and then you all of a sudden end up with a bending motion. So you'll be surprised, honestly, just by changing your sequence, how much it will change what you're able to do. So what we're looking for is arms straight back, pushing the club out, turn and push the club out. What happens with most golfers is they turn and then they can't keep sort of turning and pushing out because you can only go so far, so you have to lift up, and then as you lift up you end up in a really awkward looking golf swing position that has no power and no functionality. So position 1, bum, position 2, bum. Okay, now what's interesting is when I'm working with a different variety of golfers, it really depends on what their ball flight type is and what we need to work on. So like I said at the beginning of the video, there are going to be occasions where you'll need to know a bit more information to make a difference to your swing. But where golfers really shoot themselves in the foot is like thinking about sort of maybe moving the lower body first, or should I, and they're doing all these sort of moves and it just looks so out of sequence. And golfers are so worried about this sort of kinematic chain, which I'm not saying doesn't exist, but what I would say is it's more likely to exist if we can just move. So position 3 is, the way you can practice this is just do some lead hand only swings just for a moment, and imagine if I was going to let go of the club, I'm directing it towards my target. Because what you'll find with this is this will encourage nice rotation of both the upper and the lower body, like so, and you'll find that you'll naturally transfer your weight. And you won't get bogged down with moving lower body first, dropping shoulder down like this, and you'll get awkward. You don't want to be doing that, particularly if you're low on confidence and you're not playing great and hitting it great. So position 3 is all about just that sort of feeling of finishing the swing. Okay, so you're going to go sort of 1, 2, 3, that same feeling as if I was going to direct the club down in towards my target where I'm going. And if you can put those 3 movements together, you're actually going to find the golf swing tremendously easier, because this is something that I see all the time. So decent set of position, 1, good stretch, taking it side back, 2, good turn up to the top, 3, moving everything together and keeping it all synchronized. And if you can do those 3 things, you're going to have a much better golf swing. So just keep an eye on them, particularly those stages 1 and 2. And hopefully it'll make a massive difference for you, and it will be the kind of video that you will save and come back to if you ever encounter any technical problems again. See you soon.